What is going on, everybody, and welcome back once again. My name is Jordan, also known as JMonster. Well, thank you guys for joining me for another replay battle. Today I've got a 4 versus 4 on Isengard. It is going to be the forces of Umbar and the men of these collectively. Got Khand and Harad on the field as well, and they're going to be assaulting the Iron Ring of Isengard, which is being defended by its original owners, I believe, the Kingdom of Gondor. So we have 4 Gondor players on the inside of the ring and a whole bunch of Eastern factions on the outside trying to take it. So without any further ado, let's get into the army comps and then to the replay itself. Alright, now the first army we're going to look at today is the forces of Umbar, being commanded by yours truly. I've brought 2 units of Abrazani Nardu Tariq, 1 unit of the Castamir's Rangers, 3 units of Belgier Archers. I'm going to be backing them up with a couple units of Abrazani Nardu Bawib, who are the Belgier Archers turned up to 11. They have excellent armor, really huge shield value, and they're pretty decent infantry once all is said and done. I've also got, I believe, 4 units that will complement here of the Castamir's Chosen, one of the best looking infantry units in the game, in my opinion. And finally, I've got, I believe, 2 units of Corsair Blackguard, and to top it all off, I've got a couple units of Numenorian Shield Guard and a single unit of Catapult, well placed up here on this hill. Now you may be noticing that these Catapult men are Haradrim, and I'm not sure that Umbar will be getting their own Catapult crew in the future. It's entirely possible, and I don't see why they wouldn't, but it's not entirely absurd for the Haradrim to be here manning this Catapult anyway, since the Haradrim are beholden to the warlords of Umbar. Moving on now to the second Umbar army, we have the forces of Vislak. It was also commanding Umbar. Wow, kind of lost my train of thought there. He's got a couple units of Belgier Halberds, a couple units of Corsair Blackguards as well. He's got his own complement of Abrazani Nardu Tariq, a couple units of the Numenorian Shield Guard. He's got some Corsair Savages, and a whole buttload of Castamir's Chosen as well. Another 4 units here of the Castamir's Chosen, who are going to be commanding the, or manning rather, the siege towers. Out in front, he's got some Abrazani Nardu Bawib to the tune of about 2 units, and of course, 3 units of the Belgier Archers. So let's move on now to the rest of my allies. Over on this end, we have the forces of Khand, being commanded by Von Mountain. And he's brought some Varied Cataphracts. I believe this is one of his 2 units of cavalry, which is a little bit strange for Khand, although I guess not that anomalous in a siege. Also got a unit here of the Chieftains Vanguard, who are a very tanky horse archer unit with their 2 HP. I think they've got like 9 armor value as well, so they are nearly plate armored, although they don't quite look it. Definitely a very tanky, very worthy pick for this Khandish siege force. He's also got some Variag warriors out in front, who have a bonus versus cavalry, which is nice, although probably not all that valuable in a siege, but they do have some decent damage, and all around they're just a very cost-effective unit that you can bring a lot of, and they don't really lose too much if you lose them in the battle. Over here we got a couple units of the Nomadic Marauders, who are I believe this is the axe-throwing unit. No, this is just the regular infantry unit. Essentially a militia unit for Khand. They do provide a little bit of numbers, and they can get in the way for a little while at least, and they've got some decent attack values as well. Over here we got a unit of Brotherhood of the Axe, one of the 2 Brotherhood units that Von Mountain has brought today. Very, very deadly, consummate warriors, very much the epitome of the tribe that they represent. Over here we got some Brotherhood of the Sword, who, while they're not AP, don't have as high of a damage value as the Brotherhood of the Axe. They make up for it with a very high melee defense value. As you can see here, there are dual-wielding swords, which if you watched my last, my survival guide to 0.95, then you will know that they get a 0.2, no, it's 20%, that's right, it's 20% increase to their melee defense, making them very, very tanky melee indeed. Over here, got some Neuron Halberds, the rank and file for the Khandish infantry lineup, some Nomadic infantry, and I believe 3 or 4 units of the Neuron footmen as well. But I think that just about does it for his army here. Though no, he actually has a piece of artillery around here somewhere as well. He's got the Khandish rocket launcher, which is a new unit in 0.95. Not too sure what he's done with it though. It's a little bit inaccurate. It's like the rocket launchers. Here they are. 2 units of them, in fact. 2 units of the Black Powder Hwacha. No idea what that means. But in a siege battle like this, where everyone is going to be confined inside the ring of Isengard, fairly tight and compact, a unit like this actually might be worth it. But we'll see what kind of value they bring once the battle gets started. Let's move on now to the 4th and final attacking army. We have the forces of the Haradrim, being commanded by King Strategist. He's got a pretty standard Harad force here. The Champions of Nafarat, backed up with a couple units of Trollmen of Harad. He's also got a ton of the Southron Pikemen, one of the few AP pikes in the game. Very, very deadly in close quarters, although, of course, they are commensurately very fragile. Very little armor and no shield value as well. Over here we have a Haradrim Catapult, and a bunch of units of Muhan Warriors who are going to be manning the Rams today. And finally, we've got a unit of Demons of the Desert, who I believe have the General in them. I could be wrong about that, though. And very, very deadly Javelin unit that can cause a lot of disruption with their Javelin volleys. They throw units all over the place, and it's just an absolute nightmare for your enemies when they get hit with it. Over here, another unit, Trollman of Harad, a couple units of Muhad Beast Hunters, but I know he's got a unit. Yes, indeedy. He's got a few units here, a couple units of the Muhad War Beasts, and a single unit of Mumakil, who are very much changed in 0.95 in terms of their cost. It is now possible on a 13k budget to bring more than one Mumakil. Gasp! Recoil in horror. But there are a lot of units that have a bonus versus elephants, so we decided we want to try this out for the new patch. But in any case, that does it for the attacking armies. Let's go ahead and let's see what the defenders have brought to the battle today. Now, since the defending armies are very much all mixed together, I'm just going to call out the players' names and the armies as I see them, rather than trying to jump back and forth all over the place and find out who exactly has what. We'll just we'll go through it a little bit more organically. Over here, we got some Gondor Archers under new player 195, and at the gate, Warlango and Pharaoh are teaming up together. We got a couple units here of Fountain Guard from Warlango, mixed in with a unit of Care Andros Marksman. Another unit of Care Andros Marksman over here under new player 195. Ton of Ramasek Garrison, some Garzavas Gilead here for new player 195 as well. Care Andros Swordsman under Lango, unit of Ramasek Garrison under him as well. A couple units of the Pelargian Marines. Really nice pick for a siege battle like this. We're going to have to be funneling ourselves into narrow choke points, where units like the Pelargian Marines are going to be extremely useful. Axemen of the Sarnak under Lango as well. Gondor Spears, here, 3 units, I believe, with Gondor Infantry, and, of course, some Garzavas Gilead on his own. Athelian Rangers here under Lango. Another unit of Athelian Rangers as well. Ramasek Garrison Archers, more Gondor Archers, and looks like we've got some Gondor Archers here under Baconfish, 302. And he's also got some Ramasek Garrison. Looks like he's going to be forming mostly the second line of the defense. More Ramasek Garrison, and some Gondor Archers as well. Looks like he's on very much a support build for the purposes of this. A ton of archers here, and a little bit of elites and some guards experience as well. Another couple units here, the Pelargian Marines and a Ballista. Very much a Gondor support army. Moving on over to the other side, looks like Baconfish is going to be holding this down with new player, and a ton of Gondor infantry here from new player. Some Carando Swordsmen, and some Gondor archers as well to back up the front lines. Over on this end, we have more from Pharaoh, some guards with Gilead. Looks like this is where the bulk of Pharaoh's force is going to be stationed. He's going to be trying to take off Harad. A couple units of Axemen of Sarnak, 1 unit of Wardens of the White Tower, more guards with Gilead. Elisar's Honor Guard, Shielded Fountain Guard, who are fearsome in 0.95. I've really learned to be afraid of these guys. Despite the fact that they are a spear unit, they seem to crush infantry really, really effectively. And of course, they've got the shield wall as well that spearmen all have, so they can push hard against pikes as well, making them a very multi-purpose unit. More Gondor infantry here under Pharaoh. And finally, got some Ramasek Garrison, some Gondor archers, and a catapult as well. So a reasonable amount of defending artillery here. Not too much. They're a bit thin on the ground. We were really afraid they're going to bring a ton of trebuchets, and it would just be nightmarish for us. But yeah, only a couple units of defending artillery here, so it'll be interesting to see how that works out for them. But in any case, that does it for the army comps. Let's go ahead and let's jump into the replay. I hope you guys enjoy it. The battle opens with an artillery salvo from the hill occupied by the forces of Umbar, sending their missiles clattering into the walls of the citadel of Orthanc, trying to blow holes in the ramparts that have never before been breached since they were erected by the men of Numenor in the Second Age. Inside the walls, we have the hardy garrison of Gondor. They know that a brawl is surely brewing. This is going to be no fight. Their dark cousins from the south are absolutely terrors on the battlefield. This is not going to be an easy fight for Gondor at all. Meanwhile, we can see over in the northern half of the citadel, the men of Harad are opting instead to circumvent this part of the line entirely, and there is a completely legitimate non-lore reason for that. The walls of Isengard, you can only attack them or blow holes in them or target them with artillery, etc., in places where they have stairs leading up to the ramparts. So this particular area right here doesn't really have any stairs, and that might be something that changes. I'm sure WK could probably fix that in a few hours if you really wanted to. So hopefully we'll see that change in the future. But for the time being, it is what it is, and the men of Harad are going to have to give up on their half of the wall. If you can I guess you can have half of a circle, can't you? On their portion of the wall, and they're going to move over towards the men of Khand, and they're going to engage in a concentrated assault on a single part of the Gondorian line, which is not a bad idea. As the ramparts begin to fall down, the men of Umbar have breached the citadel, but it's going to be some time before they move in. They're going to take their time and blow as many holes in the walls of Isengard as they possibly can in order to give themselves a plethora of options when it comes to assaulting this very, very entrenched and very powerful Gondorian garrison. So we're going to fast forward just a little bit from here, and I'll see you guys in just a few moments. Now that the walls have fallen in many places, the Kingdom of Gondor feels a little bit more comfortable in committing some of their skirmishers to the walls. That is going to turn out to be a grave mistake indeed. You can see the Athelian Rangers here being targeted by that artillery, and it is going to break that section of wall and destroy nearly that entire unit. That is 40 Rangers of Athelian that just fell there. A big loss for Gondor. That's an expensive unit. A lot of their budget, 850 right there, went into that unit, and now it has been destroyed in the opening phases of the battle. Although it is, to be fair, a unit, even a small unit of Rangers, can be a serious terror to lightly armored units, but not very many of those on the Umbar roster. Certainly not in these army comps. A lot of Casimirs chosen, a lot of Abrazanim Talrik, and of course the Númenórean Shield Guard. Over on the Khandish side of things, we've got some of the siege towers slowly rumbling forward. Von Mountain definitely going to take his time with this. Khand not necessarily the strongest faction offensively or defensively in a siege. They're really at home on an open field. So Von Mountain is, I think, duly going to be very slow, very deliberate, very cautious when it comes to approaching the walls here, because it'd be very easy for the Gondorians to destroy him and, of course, Harad by extension. Let's see what we got over here. Speaking of Harad, they have an absurd amount of rams, just a caravan here of rams. I'm just going to assume that they're wagons from the baggage train, and this is where the Haradrim are keeping all of their supplies. Elsewise, why would they be bringing 6 or 7 rams over to this side of the battle? But in any case, Khan's now very much on the walls. You can see the siege towers here just generally moving forward. A lot of Nurad footmen and some nomadic light infantry over here as well. And at the same time that all this is happening, Umbar is now launching an all-out assault on the walls. You can see the Casimir chosen moving forward with their ladders, looking to get themselves in a position to open up a lot of options for movement here for the attackers, which is something that is excellent for an attacking force. Usually in sieges, you are fairly limited in the ways that you can approach them. Yes, you can blow some holes in walls, but once you get inside the city, there's usually things like narrow streets that impede your movement, but not in this case. Isengard is very, very open, and so blowing all these holes in the walls and now moving up the ladders really offers a lot of a above average amount of mobility to an attacking unit, or to an attacking force, that gives them a little bit more room to maneuver. Vislak's force moving in as well, lumbering forward with the siege towers commanded by his Casimir chosen and his Númenórean Shield Guard, backed up by the Abrazanim Nardu Bawib, and the Gondorian defenders quickly get themselves into defensive positions, preparing to receive the charge of the Umbarim. Moving back over to Khan's side of things, looks like there's a catapult inside there. I believe that's Pharaoh's catapult that's going after the Mumakil. Luckily for the Harad player, they're going to overshoot them, and for Khand as well. They're going to take no casualties with that volley, but Harad is going to now think twice about moving forward towards the walls with their Mumakil. It's an expensive unit. I believe it is where his general is hanging out, so he doesn't want to lose it, because that could be disastrous for the men of Harad. This is a really good opportunity here, actually. If there were some units on the walls, some archers, for example, they would have a very easy time, I think, gunning down this. It seems under strength. 22 seems like an odd number, even on this level of funds, for a unit of catapults. So this is very exposed right now, and the defenders could definitely take advantage of this by showing a little bit more initiative. But I don't think they're going to have the time at this point. Although Pharaoh is moving forward with a unit of Gondor archers, maybe he's got the right idea. Moving on over to this end. Let's go ahead and let's slow things down just a little bit so we don't miss nothing. The Umbarim have reached the walls. The Casimir chosen have placed their ladders, but they're not going to immediately charge up. They can see and presumably hear the jeers of the men of Gondor awaiting them atop the ramparts. And instead, the Umbarim are going to content themselves to an opening skirmish phase. You can see the Belgier archer companies from both my force and that of Vislac opening fire, shooting through the breaches, trying to take out some of the more important assets here, like the Pelargir Marines. Definitely a unit that needs to die really quickly, because in these narrow choke points, ooh, you can already see it happening. We're going to get a nice hit off there on Vislac's Numenorian Shield Guard as they move forward with their siege tower, and many of them are going to fall in just a few moments. And that is exactly the kind of thing that we as the Umbar players were concerned about. Those Pelargir Marines were at the top of our hit list, and we're going to do everything that we can to silence them. Over on this end, it looks like my ram has reached the wall. My Aberzanim Nardu manning the ram, however, are going to come under assault by a sally here from the forces of Gondor. The Carandros marksmen going to charge out the gate, try and delay the ram from getting to the gatehouse, but honestly, they're delaying the inevitable. I think the plan here was to try and pull my unit of Aberzanim Nardu onto the AP spears of these two units of Fountain Guard that are waiting in ambush. No, not really ambush. They're kind of conspicuous here with their phalanx, but it was definitely a ploy, I think, to pull these guys into a disadvantageous position. Luckily, though, I saw what was going to happen, and I had a pretty good idea of what my opponent was about, so I pulled them back nice and quick, and it looks like he lost a fair amount of some Athelian Rangers here as well. Don't know how they died. Don't know where they were. There's none dead on the wall at all. They kind of just, I don't know, fainted. Maybe they're sleeping. But a fair amount of the Carandros marksmen fell in that brief skirmish at the gatehouse. Moving on to this end, it looks like Vislac is now storming the breach with his Aberzanim Nardu against those spearmen. They are going to do very, very well. The low melee defense and the high armor of a unit like Gondor spearmen is going to make them easy prey for the Aberzanim Nardu. Although I say that now, and it says the defeat is a distinct possibility, but I think that that's going to level out in just a little while. Meanwhile, a unit here of the Corsair Savages slowly, well, it's only slow because we're in slow motion, but running into the breach to lend support to the Aberzanim Nardu. And without reinforcements, I think the Gondorians are going to find themselves overmatched. Now, all along the line, you can see the Umbarim getting themselves into assault positions. Vislac definitely the more aggressive of the two right now. I've got another, actually he's got another unit of Aberzanim Nardu, and he's going to open up another section of wall here that we are able to assault. You can see the Gondorians have placed themselves very wisely on the wall. They are not directly in our path, but they are able to surround us, and it leaves this this section of wall here completely clear for their archers to fire into the flank of any units that we commit to the wall. So we're going to have to be a little bit more foxy than our opponents here, and Vislac is going to open up another avenue for attack, which is going to prevent that sort of strategy from being used on that section of the wall. Meanwhile, at the gatehouse, more and more Umbarim pouring themselves into the breaches in the wall. You can see a unit of my Corsair Blackguards here lining themselves up, wanting to take some pot shots at those stationary Fountain Guard inside of the gatehouse. They're going to try and get themselves set up to throw a volley here, but there's a little bit of a pathfinding issue, and unfortunately they won't be able to do what I want them to do. Up here, a company of Gondorian archers just raining hell down upon their dark cousins from the south. Meanwhile, the Belgier archers giving it right back to them. But they're fairly well protected up here on the wall, not just because of their height, but also because of their armor values. So those Gondorian archers are going to be able to stand up to that for quite some time. Looks like we have another sally here coming from the men of Gondor. The Axemen of Lasarnak very bravely, but perhaps ultimately foolishly, going to charge out the gatehouse into the waiting arms of the Umbarim. You can see the Casimir's chosen leaping on them from the flank. Aberzanim Nardu and some reinforcements in the form of the Numenorian Shield Guard are going to sandwich this unit of Axemen of Lasarnak, and they're going to fall by the dozens very, very quickly to the swords and spears and maces of the Black Numenorians. Ooh, and another section of wall falls. It seems that the assault is well and truly underway on the side of the Kondish warriors. So let's go ahead and see exactly what they are about. So far, they're still in their skirmish phase. The that is a very near thing indeed. The Momikel has been brought forward here to try and lend a little bit of support, range support, to the Wow. The Gondish forces, as they move up their siege towers and begin to assault the walls. This is actually kind of smart. They're using their height here, I think, to take some shots at the Gondorians on the walls, which is... That's pretty smart. In fact, I think that's what the forces of Mordor did at the Battle of Pelennor Fields. Used the Mumakil against the walls just to keep the men of Gondor, not the men of Rohan, initially in any case, busy in many places. But it looks like the Mumakil are going to do something very, very bold here, and they're actually going to move all the way through the breach in the walls. Unsupported, this is not the greatest idea, but with a little bit of infantry, this is actually a bold strategy that could potentially pay off. Ooh, that Mumakil just dropping the men of Gondor, pancaking them, tossing them all over the place, causing all kinds of destruction, untold disruption here on the Gondorian lines. Ooh. Meanwhile, the Gondorians on the walls are really hard-pressed. That Haradrim catapult is in the process of blowing another gap in the wall, and that is going to be a big problem for the Gondorians, for the Gondorian archers up there, unless they vacate the premises post-haste. Mumakil wreaking absolute bedlam in the Gondorian lines here as the Gondorians rush troops into the breach to try and fill the gap here created by the Mumakil, but the rest of the Haradrim and Gondish army don't seem to be ready to follow up here, which I think is a mistake. This is a good idea, and it really seems to be paying off here. If there was some infantry in this line, the men of Khand and Harad would be through here completely. They wouldn't even have to fight in the choke point, but unfortunately, they don't seem quite ready to commit to this cause just yet. Ooh, and a volley from the javelins is going to be enough to see those Mumakil off. Wow, 2 out of 3. Dead in just a moment. And actually, no, 3 out of 3. All of them died really, really quickly there. Those Pelargir Marines duly celebrating their victory over the men of Harad. Let's pop back on over to the Umbar side of things. It looks like Gondor seems to have the situation well in hand. They've got the Belgir halberds from Vislak and his Corsair savages well and truly pinned. And it looks like the Aberzanim Nardutarik, who were in the breach previously, have either been driven back or slaughtered entirely. So the Gondorians are definitely exacting a heavy toll from the Umbarim as they try to push their way into the Citadel. Over on this end, looks like some Númenorian Shield Guard backing up some Belgir halberds, a deadly combination indeed, are giving these Caradhras swordsmen the business. Ooh, Pelargir Marines in the back, trying to support their... No, actually I see what they're doing. Castamir's Chosen, there's a unit of Castamir's Chosen up here that pushed into the Gondorian Spearmen, but they got themselves absolutely annihilated by some good mixed unit tactics here by the Gondorian players. Second company of Castamir's Chosen has suffered very grievously at the hands of the Gondorians, being almost completely wiped out, but these Númenorians are locked morale. They will fight forever, so they have to be completely exterminated, or they'll continue to be a problem for your army. Another section of wall has fallen as the walls of Isengard, once mighty edifices, a tribute to the architectural prowess of the men of the West, have been turned into Swiss cheese. Nomadic light infantry here being driven back in a volley of fire arrows, and the Gondorians are being left once again as the masters of this section of wall. So the men of Harad and the men of Umbar have yet to even set foot inside the ring of Isengard. So far, the Gondorian defense has proven to be far too much for them. Over here, we got some Nurad footmen fighting against the Ramazekor garrison, looking like they might be able to establish a much-needed breachhead for the men of Khand and Harad. But we'll come back to that in just a little while, and we'll see how it turns out. Over on this side of things, still, the fight for the breaches is looking reasonably even in places, except over here where the men of Harad are very, very thin on the ground, and a lot of that is thanks to the entrenched unit of Guards of Osgiliath, and that is going to take a little bit of fanciness on the part of the Umbar players to try and deal with. Up here, Aberzanim Nardutarik have taken the walls. Vislak's second unit of Aberzanim Nardutarik have established a breachhead. Over on my end, the Castamir's Chosen in the process of hacking down the Gondorians. There are no nearby support units that the Gondorians are really able to leverage. Now, there is a unit of Gondorian archers, but they are a little bit under strength, and the Castamir's Chosen are quite well armored, certainly more armored than the missile damage that the Gondorian archers can bring to bear, and they've got their shields as well. Actually, they're on the wrong side to be getting the shield value, so it's going to go straight to their armor, but still, well-armored units indeed. Gondor infantry apparently winning, but Vislac is going to be coming in from behind with another company of the Numenorian Shield Guard, and they are very, very difficult to dislodge and can simply outlast a unit like the Gondor infantry, despite being spears. Over on this end, I got a unit of Corsair Blackguards. Actually, I was rushing them up the wall to these various breaches, tossing a volley of javelins and into the various breaches and trying to lend my ally Vislac a little bit of support. Because these units of Guards of Osgiliath and other pike units like that, they are definitely asking for it. But we'll come back to that in just a brief moment. It looks like some of the Gondorians have been pulled back from the gatehouse as well. I think I had a second company. Actually, no, this is Vislac's company of Corsair Blackguards trying to get to the gatehouse and again thin out the Gondorian defenders before we move in. Moving on to the Khandish side of things, Khan's still holding the line, but really seeming to struggle against just the sheer numbers of the Gondorian infantry. Over here, the Neradfu have been heavily reduced, thinking about routing. Meanwhile, the Haradrim have come in a real big way, committing their Trollmen of Harad to the fray. Gondor, and they're going to be cutting down the Gondorian infantry, but this is a difficult spot for the lightly armored men of Harad to be in. There's a lot of missile units back there, and an artillery piece as well, which is causing all kinds of problems. The Khandish rocket launcher opening fire on the Gondorians. You can really see that it's inaccurate, but it makes up for that with sheer volume of fire. And the Gondorian pikemen are going to be the subject of its tender mercies. It doesn't really seem to care who it kills, though. Let's pop back over to this side of things and see what those Blackguards are up to. I think they were being targeted by some of the Gondorian archers inside of the breach. Indeed, you can see some Ramesek garrison. They were managing to get some decent shots off on my Corsair Blackguard, and lost about 7 men or so in that unit. Meanwhile, all along the breaches, it seems like things have been pretty static, but the Belgier archers supporting the Shield Guard and the Halbards have managed to make a significant breach here in the Gondorian lines, and it looks like the Pelargir Marines have moved up onto the ramparts. I think they're out of ammunition. I thought they might have been going up here to try and toss their javelins down. Oh no, what do you know? They do indeed have still have ammunition left. It looks like they're going to be targeting possibly Vislac's Corsair Blackguards. That would be a good target for them to go after. Let's see what they do. Ah, I see. Going after the Casimir's Chosen, also not a terrible target. A couple of those Chosen are going to fall. Some really nice use of the terrain here by the Gondorian player. But let's go ahead and let's slow down just a little bit. Over on this end, I finally managed to make a breach here, pushing my way through the Gondorian archers and engaging the Ramesek garrison with a unit of my Casimir's Chosen, and they're going to carve through those Ramesek garrison like a hot knife through butter. This is what it looks like. 1000-degree knife versus Ramesek garrison. Over on this end, I'm in the process of making yet another breach as my Casimir's Chosen lead the way against a second unit of the Ramesek garrison. And over at the gatehouse, things have been pretty static for a while, but I'm now moving in with my unit of Corsair Blackguards to well and truly take some shots here at these Gondorians. If I can't hit them, I'll at least be able to bully them out of position and potentially open up a breach for myself. But let's check on how things are going for the Haradrim. It seems really difficult. Man of the Harad running this way and that, but there just seems to be a Gondorian answer to every push that they make. Southron Pikemen here backing up the Muhan Warriors, a deadly combination in conjunction with those Champions of Nafarat, but they are very much pinned down here. And I don't see any of the Men of Khand in here yet at all. Ooh, these Demons of the Desert being targeted down by a couple companies of the Pelargir Marines. King Strategist definitely wants to use up their ammunition if he hasn't already, but it looks like he has. They're using their melee weapons now. But now would be a good time to maybe commit them to the fray against the Ramesek garrison, try and get them behind cover, use the Mumakil bodies possibly as cover for this elite unit of Demons of the Desert. It looks like we're going to see a lot of breaking here. The Haradrim having to fight on without their general as a tough spot for them to be in. And the Men of Gondor once more in command of the city. Ooh. Ooh, that was a nasty artillery volley into, I think that was shielded Fountain Guard. Ooh, that's a big loss there for the Gondorians. Many of the Haradrim now fleeing for the hills. However, the attackers have managed to get foot inside the ring, so inevitably, like the tide coming in, they attack, they break, they reform, and they push in and make it a little bit farther each time. Ooh, artillery there. The Gondorian Ballista exacting a hefty toll from the Variag warriors as they try to push through. The men of the south, in their haste to retreat, are actually bottling up their allies, making them easy prey for that Gondorian artillery piece. Over here, the Gondorians have actually pushed out against the Muhad Beast Hunters. Very brave on their part. It'd be child's play, I think, for the Haradrim to surround these guys and rout them very easily. Now, second unit here of the Muhad Beast Hunters, no doubt targeting the Guards of Osgiliath as they move to push the men of Harad out for good and plug that gap. Looks like the Haradrim do in fact have an answer to this counter push here from Gondor. But while things hang in the balance, let's go ahead and check out what's going on elsewhere. It looks like my Umbaran forces have managed to move through the gatehouse, finally establishing the breach that we've been trying to get since the opening stages of the battle. My Corsair Blackguards getting some beautiful enfilading fire here against a very high tier unit of the Wardens of the White Tower. Going to cause me no end of problems. They'd definitely be able to take down my representing Mardu Talrik and my second unit here as well. Over on this end, I can see the Gondorians moving in. I can see them moving in to try and either go after my Blackguards or to surround my forces. So I'm going to move in with the unit of Numenorian Shield Guard, who will hold the line for a very long time against the Gondorian Spearmen. In fact, I would put my money on them to win this particular matchup. Of course, their Blackguards tossing their payload into the Fountain Guard. That's going to soften up those elite Gondorians just enough so that the Umbarim can take them down. Over on this end, Vislak using his Corsair Blackguard to fire into the rear of the Wardens of the White Tower. And just like that, 1-2 punch, we've nearly assassinated a couple very important Gondorian assets here, and that is going to greatly weaken the defense in this section of the line. Well, it looks like we got some Gondorians firing basically point blank down into the Battle Gear Archers as they try to flank the Guards of Osgiliath. So in certain places we have definitely won, in others we seem to be struggling a little bit more. My Castamir's Chosen here not having a great time. Surprisingly enough, taking heavy losses against the Gondorian infantry. And I think that has a lot to do with some of the range fire support. You can see some Ramsek Garrison Archers definitely were firing into the flank of my Castamir's Chosen. Let's just go take a look at what's going on in this section of the wall. We haven't been over here in a while. Pelargia Marines engaged in combat against Corsair Savages, and I believe there's some the remnants of a halberd unit in there as well, about 8 halberds. They're not doing too bad, despite being outnumbered. So this section has actually been forced through with great loss by the Umbarim. I'm going to be moving in with some of my Aberzenim Narduzagar to try and support my ally and finally break through this section of the Gondorian defense, allowing us to move in force and flank, or rather attack the Gondorians from the rear on the other end, where they are giving our allies the business. Looks like some of the Castamir's Chosen here managing to get in close quarters against the Ramesark or Garrison Archers. Oh, that is not going to go well at all for these Gondorians. Look at this guy. He got hit so hard he actually got, like, he got blasted into another dimension or something. I love this bug. It's hilarious. There you go. Planted in the ground like a grim totem, a warning to any other Ramesark or Garrison Archers who may try to resist. Vaughn being very proactive here with his very high cataphracts, using them to force their way through one of the breaches and coming from the rear against these Ramesark or Garrison Archers. That is a nice charge, and that is potentially going to make these guys rout very quickly and free up some more Umbarim resources. Meanwhile, Umbar forces pour through the gaps, and there's still so much yet to come. Although, admittedly, they are quite significantly reduced. We definitely suffered quite a lot trying to push onto the ramparts. Up here, I got a unit of Castamir's Chosen just sitting idle. Now would definitely be a good time to move them off the wall. I just think in the bedlam of the battle, I don't believe that I saw them. I think they were just kind of sitting there, and yeah, my bad, basically. Gondorian infantry being hacked down here. There's some Ramesark or Garrison infantry in there as well, being hacked down by my Castamir's Chosen, pinned against a broken section of wall. Really nowhere for them to flee. I suppose I could go down the stairs here, but it seems like they're more determined to exact a toll from my Castamir's Chosen instead of giving up the ramparts entirely. Over on this end of the battle, the Gondorians have moved in force with their Carandos marksmen and some Guards of Osgiliath support, which is going to be a big issue for my infantry. I've committed my Blackguards to the cause now that they're out of ammunition, but they are not capable of fighting both of those units simultaneously. I got some Belliger Archers in there as well, and my Numenorian Shield Guard. Like I said, they have held. They have held for a very long time, and they're still quite healthy as well. Yet more Gondorians pour in. My representing Nardu Tariq, two of them here, teaming up on these Ramessekor garrison, but they're actually going to get attacked in the rear, it would appear, by the Gondorian archers, although at the last minute they are going to veer off and try to envelop my position here and take out my Blackguards instead. Over on this end, my unit of Casimir's Chosen that was previously fighting the Fountain Guard, which they've basically wiped out the Fountain Guard. They're now down to 2, but they're pinned in place by the Gondorian archers. They will be able to hack their way out of here, although with those Athelian Rangers pouring fire into their flank, I don't know if my Casimir's Chosen can win this on their own. Over in the center here, my Belliger Archers have really taken a lot of damage. A lot of our forces on this section of the wall are really in a lot of difficulty, although luckily we have managed to break through in a big way. You can see some elites pouring through. Abrazanim Narduzagar, Castimir's Chosen, more Abrazanim Narduzagar, Belliger Archers, more Castimir's Chosen, and another company of Belliger Archers. And we are well and truly inside the Citadel and able to move in and support our allies on the other ends. Over here, Variite Cataphracts murderizing those Ramessekor garrison. But let's take a look at how Khand is doing over in this section of the breach, and then we'll take a look at them on the walls as well. Yeah, they have really run into a brick wall here. A lot of the Haradrim and the Khandish mainline infantry have been spent trying to force passage into the Citadel, but now the Gondorians are actually pushing out against them, and they appear to be winning as well. Up on the walls, looks like the Nurad footmen were all but destroyed, except over here, where the Nurads are still giving these Gondor infantry the business. That's a pretty good fight for the Nurads, I would say. The numbers are relatively even, and these guys have AP. What do we got over here? Another unit of Nurads. Not faring quite so well, though they are fighting Gondor spearmen. So while they'll probably lose this fight, they will definitely hold down these resources, prevent them from reinforcing on our side of the battle, and of course kill quite a lot of them as well. Over near the gatehouse, my attack seems to have been completely blunted by a counter-offensive by the Gondorians. Nice counter push here with their spearmen, with their pikes, and with some of their elite two-handed marksmen as well. Really putting the hurt on my Umbar forces. Over in this area, my Casimir's Chosen now heavily reduced, although the Gondorian archers have really taken a beating as well. But I still have another pocket of 20 here, and we are going to be able to cut our way through here and hopefully reinforce our allies. Vislak moving in with some Abrazanim Narduzagar, who are very tired, to try and bolster this section of the line. I got a unit of Numenorian Shield Guard, a fresh unit of Shield Guard. I'm going to move in and try and... I think I'm going to go for the Kyriandos Marksmen. We really need to disrupt their skirmish line at this point, because we saw just how many of their skirmishers that they had left. I got some Athelian Rangers there, some Gondor Archer companies that have reformed, another company of Athelian Rangers, and we knew that if we weren't able to be aggressive, that we would simply get shot to death. I believe they also have an artillery piece over here as well. Yeah, it was definitely a race against time before we got ourselves basically destroyed by their missile companies. Let's go ahead and kick it in the full speed now. Vislak's Belliger Archers getting themselves into the fight, being routed nearly immediately. The second company going to take a catapult volley on the chin, and they're going to rout as well. Really big mistake, I think, setting these guys forward in the vanguard, but at least they managed to tie up some of their units for a while, and I'd rather them take that catapult shot than some of the other units, like the Narduzagar, for example. Speaking of the Narduzagar, they're moving in support of the Casimir's Chosen. Casimir's Chosen going to disrupt a charge here from the Kyriandos Swordsmen. And looks like Baconfish is going to try and fall back with them. Unfortunately for these elite shock units, they were not able to get their charge bonus off, and now Vislak is on top of them, and he's going to pursue them as they flee and try and get some distance. Abrazanim Narduzagar running into some Ramessekor garrison and some Ramessekor garrison archers. That's going to be no problem for them. I think we've still got some reserves over here in the form of a unit of shielded Fountain Guard from new player. Definitely something we need to be worried about. We don't want them flanking us, coming in from behind as a tough unit that is AP as well. It looks like I've brought in my catapults. I think that was my... No, actually, that's Vislak's. That's Vislak's artillery. My catapult is on its way down now. We're going to try and leverage as much of our artillery as possible. Vislak's going to be targeting... Oh, there goes one of the Gondorian generals. Not a good thing for the Gondorians, as their defense seems to be crumbling here. They were doing really well at the walls for a while, but thanks to just the sheer power of the Umbar infantry and some good tactics on our part, I have to say, we didn't go for a lot of the bait that they were holding out for us. We were able to breach through, but on the other side, definitely a different story for our allies. Vislak's artillery trying to take a bite out of the Athelian Rangers, but unfortunately not having a whole lot of luck. Going to try his hand at some fire arrows. That's going to work out much better against the Athelian Rangers. A few of them begin to immolate and scream and fall to the ground. Slowly but surely, that unit is ground down by our skirmishing companies. Vislak still has some fairly healthy units of archers from Aberzanim Nardu Bawib. I've got another unit of Nardu Bawib as well, I think. Oh, no, these are both Vislaks. But I've got some supporting Casimir's Rangers who didn't really do a whole lot in this battle, I have to say. I did fire over the walls with them at some point, but it maybe wasn't the best pick. Although at this point, against the Axemen of Lasarnak, that is definitely a good target for them, and they're going to show their quality in that particular engagement. Over here, the Pelargir Marines tossing their payload into the flank of my Aberzanim Narduzagar. I think there's some Aberzanim Nardu Bawib in there as well. And that's going to exact a very heavy price from my elite Umbaram units. I'm moving in a unit of Casimir's Chosen to try and disrupt these guys, but they're out of ammunition, so the damage has already been done. Although a unit of 22 Casimir's Chosen with support from the Casimir's Rangers, they won't do too poorly. Let's see what's happening over on this end. Vaughn has moved in with his final reserves. Most of the Haradrim have fallen apart. The South Run Pikemen here looking like a little bit of reforming. What do we got here? The Nomadic Marauders tossing their throwing axes into the breach. There's really no answer that the Gondorians have to this at this point. Definitely you would want to pull back from the walls, or at least try and hide behind the ramparts or something. You don't want to take this on the chin for as long as these guys have ammo, but it's really easy to lose track of something like this in a large-scale battle. It looks like the same thing is going on over on this end. Nomadic Marauders cutting their way through the Ramasekor garrison. Now Bakefish, I think, sees what's happening. He's going to move out of the way with that unit of Ramasekor garrison. Although it does beg the question of why he's not doing the same over on this side of things. Let's take a look at some of Vaughn's remaining forces. He's got some pretty serious infantry still left over. Some Brotherhood of the Sword and some Variag Warriors and the Brotherhood of the Axe. Both of those Brotherhood units still full health. Let's see how things are going over here. Numenorian Shield Guard from my army, backing up some Aberzanim Nardu Tariq and some Corsair Blackguards from Vislak, fighting hard against the guards of Osgiliath. Over on this side, we've managed to break through the Gondorians and scatter their infantry a little bit. They're now falling back, doing a fighting retreat here with the Gondorian Spearmen holding the line, allowing the Gondorian infantry time to disengage. But that is going to leave these guys isolated. We're going to slowly grind down these small pockets of resistance. But let's slow down just a little bit more and appreciate the carnage that went down here, especially on the walls, at the breaches. It was definitely not an easy fight at all. The Gondorian players did a great job at banding together and holding the line, but ultimately we were able to push our way into the Citadel. Over on this side of things, looks like some of the Gondorian defenders have lost heart and are now beginning to flee. So new player is going to engage his unit of Shielded Fountain Guard, which is a unit that inspires and both hope and terror. It will inspire the units around you, but I believe that they also scare nearby infantry. On this section of the line, Pelargir Marines trying to hold against the Aberzanim Nardu Bawib and the Aberzanim Narduzagar, but they are ultimately overmatched against these deadly Umbarim warriors. These Casimir's Chosen here are just carving their way through those Pelargir Marines. Meanwhile, the Variag Cataphracts, what remains of them in any case, doing their best to keep the Gondorian players busy in many places. Looks like Vaughn is actually going to pull them out of there and maybe go after the Athelian Rangers, although the mere presence of that heavy cavalry is enough to cause these guys to reposition. Although I think they just recently ran out of ammunition, so it might be that instead of fear of a cavalry charge. More Gondorian companies running over from the other end to try and lend some support as the Umbar players bear down on the remaining Gondorian defensive positions. It looks like some Hashari here. I didn't even know the King Strategist had Hashari. I think he has like 1 or 2 units of them. Managed to break through and make it into the Gondorian archers. Now, there are very few of the Hashari, but they have very high melee defense. They have about 16 melee defense. So you like the Gondorian archers won't actually be able to damage them all that reliably. So that small unit of Hashari, looks like another Gondorian general is now fallen, but that small unit of Hashari could potentially carve their way through these Gondorians just through sheer skill alone. Nice rear charge there from Vaughn, being very deadly, playing the field with his heavy cataphracts. You don't really see a lot of cavalry in siege battles like this, but Isengard is definitely a prime candidate for taking some because of how open it is in here. Meanwhile, the Gondorians still hold the line. The Nomadic Marauders have now run out of ammunition. They charged into battle but got themselves destroyed by the remaining Gondorians, who are not giving any ground. It seems like it's still a stalemate over here, although once Vaughn commits his really, really tough elite companies, it will be interesting to see how that turns the battle around. Looks like Vaughn actually had some Brotherhood Shadow Blades in his pocket. Now he's going to use them to push against the Gondorians. Looks like they're going to run straight up to the gap, get ready to reload, toss their throwing daggers into the rear of the Ramstekor garrison, claim the lives of several of those Gondorian infantrymen. Let's pop back on over to this side. Looks like the Gondorians have managed to stabilize a little bit, surprisingly enough, although there's another wave of Umbarian forces yet to come from Eberzani Nardu Bawib. 2 companies here, very healthy from Vislak, that also count as pretty adept heavy infantry. Over here, all is not lost for Gondor, however. It would seem a reasonably healthy company of Gondor infantry and a lot of Karandra swordmasters, almost about half the units still left, are moving down into the lower levels of the Citadel to try and lend as much support as they can to the defense. Another company of Gondor archers forming up beside their brothers to try and shoot down the Umbarum defenders, who are markedly less armored than their Gondorian counterparts. Well, not markedly, but fairly less armored. They get a -1 armor penalty. Civilian Rangers here, now being committed to melee. They're going to do all right, actually, against the Eberzani Nardu Bawib, although they are being surrounded now by Vislak's archer companies. And the Civilian Rangers are ultimately going to be overwhelmed. But over here, this is really where Gondor seems to be holding the line. The Shielded Mountain Guard, despite being attacked on 2 sides, are holding against the Naranara Royal Spearmen and this unit company of Belgier archers, who, upon being attacked in the rear by a unit of Athelian Rangers, they're probably going to break and run. Looks like there's a very small unit of Casimir's Chosen here, still trying to hold the line, trying to disrupt these Athelian Rangers, lend as much support to their allies as they can, but in this section of the battle, it seems like the Gondorians do have the upper hand. Ramstekor garrison on this side fighting against the Eberzani Nardu who are heavily reduced. Ramstekor garrison appearing to lose heart. I think this is maybe one of the forces belonging to a general that has recently fallen. Gondor archers just being pursued relentlessly by Varii cataphracts, which is really giving us an opportunity to do our bloody work in melee. Really relieving a lot of the pressure from our assault. So a great job there to Von Mountain. Vaughn finally committing his elites, got some Brotherhood of the Sword here, fighting against the Karandra Swordmasters from the wall and that reserve company of Gondorian infantry. But it seems like finally the men of the East have the upper hand. A charge from the rear, bind those Varii cataphracts into the axemen of Losarnak. Gonna kill quite a few of those Gondorians. Send a wave of panic essentially ripping through the unit, making them think maybe this fight isn't worth it. Brotherhood of the Axe still yet to come, completely unscratched. The rest of the Haradrim army and most of the Khand army as well has been badly mauled, but these guys have been held in reserve very wisely by Von Mountain, and I think that's going to be the ace in the hole here that allows Harad and Khan to finally break through that Gondorian defense. Over on this end, we've thoroughly overwhelmed the Gondorians at this point. Although I say this, I was about to say that we were definitely overwhelming the defenders, but Vislak's general has now fallen, so that could send his forces into a panic. Although I have managed to break through with a fair amount of my Eberzani Nardu Bawib, Vislak's Numenorian Shield Guard as well moving in support. These guys are locked morale, though perhaps not for too much longer. Although maybe that'll just apply on the cavalry, but yeah, I won't talk anymore about that. That's going to be in the hotfix. But those locked morale spearmen are going to be able to hold the line basically forever until they die, which makes them a very nice unit to have around. Nice attack from the rear by new player 195. Doesn't seem all that new with moves like that. Coming into my representing Narnibawi from the rear, exacting a heavy, heavy toll. And it seems like those shielded Vanguard have finally been crushed with the addition of some representing Narnibawi to the fray. And that is looking like all she wrote for the Gondorians. Now 98% of them have fallen or begun to flee. On this side, the Gondorian infantry fighting hard against my representing Narnibawi, actually winning that fight. But an attack from the rear by the Chieftains Vanguard is going to be enough to make those men lose courage, break ranks, and flee. And that is looking like basically the end of the battle. So let's take one more. We didn't have a chance to do one more flyover of the field. But if you look at the corners there, definitely very, very bloody. A stalwart defense. Hats off to the Gondorian players. And a very good game to everyone else involved. Hope you guys enjoyed this defense. And I hope you guys will enjoy whatever comes next. Until next time, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.